Many people spend years giving far more of themselves than they should. They agree to things even when their heart feels worn out, carry other people's emotions, worries, and expectations. They bend so that no one gets upset. They try to be kind, helpful, and easygoing, hoping it will keep the peace. But as time passes, something unexpected happens. The more they give, the less others truly see them. The harder they work to please, the more people assume they should keep giving. And eventually, a person can wake up one morning with a quiet sadness, realizing they no longer know what they want, only what everyone else wants from them. There was once a young man who lived exactly this way. His life shows what happens when a gentle heart forgets to choose itself. In a small village by the mountains lived a young carpenter named Luca. He was a quiet soul, kind, and very skilled at his craft. He built simple doors and tables for the people who lived nearby. Luca grew up without a father, and as a child, he picked up one painful belief. If I stay agreeable, people will keep me close. So he tried hard to be good for everyone. He smiled when he wanted to cry. He said yes when every part of him wanted to say no. He feared that if he upset someone, they would leave. And because of that fear, people began to take advantage of him. One neighbor said, "Luca, fix my lawn fence by tomorrow." Luca knew it needed a whole week, but he swallowed his truth and said, "Yes, I'll try." He worked through the night. His hands bled. His eyes stung. When morning came, the neighbor looked at the fence and said, "You should have done more." Another man walked into his workshop asking for a table. Luca showed him good wood and strong craftsmanship. But the man pushed a few coins forward and said, "This is all your work is worth." Shame rose inside Luca, but fear was stronger. And he agreed. Some people even spoke to him harshly, joked about him, or called him weak. Luca forced a smile each time, hiding how deeply it hurt. He worked late into every evening. Splinters tore his fingers. His back ached. Yet he still heard, "You could have done better." Someone else would charge less. And the more he tried to please, the more people demanded from him. If he said yes once, they asked again. If he gave more, they valued him less. One evening, he sat alone in his quiet workshop. He looked down at his hands and felt disconnected from his own life. He tried to think of something he truly wanted, a dream, a goal, a wish, but nothing came. Every day belonged to someone else's expectations. A few days later, Luca walked to the next village to buy wood. On the way, he stopped by a small river to wash his tired hands. Under a willow tree sat an old hermit weaving a basket. The man's face was peaceful. He looked at Luca and gently asked, "My son, why do you carry the eyes of someone already? Tired of living?" Luca wanted to pretend he was fine, but the old man's gentle tone softened his defenses. He sat on a stone and began speaking. At first slowly, then openly, he shared everything: his fear of upsetting others, the impossible fence job, the cheap payments, the sharp words, and the feeling that nothing in his life belonged to him. The old man listened without interrupting once. Then he reached behind him and took out 2 clay bowls, one cracked, filled both with river water, and handed them to Luca. "Carry these to that stone and bring them back," he said. Luca walked carefully. When he returned, the whole bowl was still full. The cracked one was almost empty. The old man asked, "Why did the water leak from the cracked bowl?" Luca lowered his eyes. "'Cause I didn't hold it properly. I should have been more careful." Old man shook his head. "No, this bowl was never made to hold what you poured into it. Even if you carried it for a lifetime, it would still lose its water." He looked into Luca's tired face and continued, "This is what happens when you try to fill the hearts of people who are not able to receive you. You blame yourself for something that was never yours to fix. You tell yourself, if I work harder, they'll value me. If I bend more, they'll respect me. But some hearts are like that cracked bowl. They cannot hold your effort or your kindness." The old man then placed the whole bowl in Luca's hands. "Your job is not to keep carrying the cracked bowl. Your job is to choose the bowl that can hold your water. Choose people who can truly hold what you give. Choose those who choose you too." Something shifted inside Luca. It was small at first, like the start of a new breath. He let out a long, deep sigh as he walked home. His thoughts grew clearer. He saw how he had been living through the opinions of others. The more he tried to please, the further he drifted from his own path. He understood that someone who tries to be accepted by everyone eventually wakes up with nothing, no voice, no direction of their own. He realized that people would always say something kind words, harsh words, careless words, but none of them would walk his path for him. Their opinions were like the wind, always shifting, never his to control. Living for them only drained his strength. Then he remembered the hermit's simple words. You were not born to be convenient. You were born to be true. And for the first time, Luca truly heard himself. He saw a deep truth. A person becomes free only when they stop giving their soul to people who never honored it. When he returned to his village, he did not become unkind. He simply chose where his energy went. When someone demanded the impossible, he said, "No, I can't finish that in one day." When someone tried to pay almost nothing, he replied, "My work has a fair price." When someone spoke disrespectfully, he walked away. At first, people were surprised. Some were angry. They said, "Luca has changed. He's become proud." But Luca felt something new, calm, steady peace. He was no longer trying to carry every bowl he was choosing. With time, something subtle but important happened. People who never valued him began drifting away. They wanted the old Luca, the one who never said no. But others began to come closer. They respected his time. They spoke to him kindly. They paid him fairly. They even thanked him. Luca now worked. Fewer hours, but with more heart. His hands started to heal. For the first time, he felt that his days belonged to him, not to the endless demands of others. Life is short, and we don't get a second version of it. There is no reason to spend it trying to earn a place in someone else's world. The people meant for you will not make you beg, shrink yourself, or prove your worth. Choose those who bring ease to your spirit and honesty to your days. Choose the ones who see you without effort. Choose the ones who walk toward you as you walk toward them. Let everyone else move on, not out of anger, but because clarity has arrived. Not because you are cold, because your time matters. Your life becomes richer the moment you stop chasing hands that never reach back. Walk with those who choose you freely. Guard the limited time you have. Give your presence to the few who can hold it with respect. If this story touched you, keep it close. Share it with someone who gives too much to people who give nothing in return. And remember, step by step, you are allowed to choose differently now.